Hi, Ridge here, and welcome to the very first episode of Reading Between the Lines, where we take a movie that you think is bad, we read between the lines and find out that it's typically better than you expected. And today's episode is brought to you by the Simplified Filming Academy, an online school teaching you how to finally turn your passions and talent into a profitable business. Without connections to Hollywood or without film school, we can take you through the step-by-step process of making your first low-budget feature film that actually profits. So if you're tired of running around in circles, not knowing what steps to take next to complete your movie, or you're tired of no callbacks from investors or no callbacks from small studios promising you money, we got you covered. Just click the link down below, jump on a 1-hour pre-production strategy call with me, and we will see if you're a good fit for the Simplified Filming Academy. Now, on to the presentation. We open with the prologue showing the origins of the dinosaurs over 65 million years ago, probably the biggest time jump ever, with a quick foreshadowing of the largest carnivore that's ever existed. First objection that people have of this movie is how did the dinosaurs spread over the world so quickly? When you consider that the military probably doesn't have a dinosaur protocol,
2319!
Giving them a call and convincing them that a secret undiscovered lab is selling dinosaurs and they've all escaped would probably take a minute or two to get up the chain. Don't forget that all of these evil SOBs probably brought cages to take dinosaurs, leaving their teams at the ready even faster than our government to collect dinosaurs and spread them all over the world. But even more so, in the words of Ian Malcolm,
Life, finds a way.
So it's not too far of a stretch to think that they would be spread all over the world and immediately on the black market. With all this chaos in the world, it makes perfect sense that big companies like Biosyn and Tim Cook,
Dodson! We've got Dodson here!
would take advantage of this to try and profit, especially if they've attempted this before in the very first movie and failed. Next up, Corporate Dinosaur Lady is seen trying to free animals from an illegal breeding site. She picks a lock, but as we know from the locksmith, locks are easy to pick. During their escape, none of the Triceratops hit their van, but hit many other trucks. That's because they can smell the baby inside and will try not to hurt it. Plus, they know what the bad guys look like. It makes perfect sense that Owen would join Fish, Wildlife, and Park and Dinosaurs to try to round them up to relocate them to more habitable environments. These ropes are thick and they do create a lot of resistance. This is how they've been roping cattle for hundreds of years, so it's not unreasonable to think that, especially after he tied it around a few times, that the dinosaur would be secure. Scientists also believe that these particular dinosaurs could breathe fire. Good thing he didn't. Next, we meet Maisie from the second Jurassic World, where we're introduced to a scene to show how dinosaurs really are affecting our day-to-day lives. Then we find out that Blue's been hanging around near Owen, which is not uncommon for animals that have bonded with humans to stick around them. This guy saved a bird from a canal and every day would fly in just to say hello. And since dinosaurs turned into birds, or are birds, it's not that far of a stretch.
Hey, where can I get my Velociraptor tag?
So corny.
Now we're introduced to the MacGuffin, aka Giant Frickin' Lotus.
Nobody said there'd be bugs.
I'm right there with you, but this plot point shows that there's more to genetic engineering than just dinosaurs. Next, one of our main characters from the first one shows up and does the same glasses takeoff scene that she did in the first one. We find out that the locusts are not eating any of the Biosyn genetically modified food,
They use Biosyn seed.
making them the world food superpower.
We are, yeah.
This is evil genius, or maybe just the locusts are deciding not to eat any GMOs. Now we introduce Alan Grant along with John Williams' score from the first one.
They've been around since like the 90s.
Come on, Grant, whip out your claw and show him.
Ellie Statler.
Alan Grant.
Now another filmmaker, who shall remain unnamed, said that this whole plot line was completely unnecessary for the story, but I would beg to differ and will prove him wrong over the course of this video. This movie essentially is the third act of his character arc, beginning in the first one. We see he truly does love her, but is not willing to live the family life, also never getting the gumption to actually express his feelings for her. In order to investigate Biosyn even further, they needed to get in there, and this was a perfect reason for them to do that. She reaches out to Alan Grant because of his esteemed name. Allie wouldn't have been able to do this due to her absence. I don't consider this to be an unnecessary plot line, just a subplot line. The plotline of this movie really is a parents looking for their child plotline. Now, in these movies where parents try to find their children, the parents trying to find them is the main plotline and is typically the most exciting. However, there is police officers or detectives looking for the children as well. Though the focus is not on the police officers, it is a subplot line and it is necessary. After Maisie and Beta are stolen by the bad guys,
Dodson!
Blue reaches out to the humans for help. This is not uncommon in the animal kingdom. You can find awesome videos of animals reaching out to humans for help online. Now that we know what's going to happen with our main plot and our subplot, it is here where the second act begins. Through a very logical connection, our parents find out where to go and look for their daughter. Alan and Allie make it to the Bison headquarters in Italy. This is where we meet our main antagonist, who is struggling to describe his protege.
He's basically a young me, only smarter and taller.
My black son!
Pardon? No, never mind.
Now we're introduced to Ian Malcolm, putting the trio together from the first one.
Do you two talk a lot?
He slid into my DMs.
What is the matter with you?
Not only is this fun and nostalgic for the viewers, but it's also a critical plot point, because this trio works together in order to try to bring down Bison and reveal their evil. Because if you have an antagonist in a film and you just only say he's bad, that's not good enough, but these guys actually prove he's bad through the genetic modification that he's doing.
The focus is part of a larger project called Hexapod Allies.
And all my models are pointing toward a global ecological collapse.
Now checking in with Mom and Daddy, they're following their leads, and we are introduced to this evil lady. Which of course she's connected to Bison, and she's responsible for kidnapping Macy and bringing her safe to...
Dodson!
But their leads bring them to a black market where dinosaurs are sold and fought. Then we're introduced to another character that may know where her daughter is. Now this is quite a coincidence that the very first person they talk to happened to have seen her daughter, but I can only assume that if we read between the lines, they already have spoken with a couple of people, which is why she's taking a potty break.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
And surprise, surprise, a den of a bunch of bad guys and dinosaurs, chaos breaks loose. Two big dinosaurs almost eat Owen, but he manages to stop him with the hand thing. I believe they don't really want to harm him because they don't sense him as a threat. Again, there's countless testimonials of predators not hurting humans if they sense that they're not a threat. We find out that the evil lady has been training these raptors kind of like the Indoraptor with the laser pointer.
We'll make some more. So will they.
Bitch fight.
You don't use it on people.
Recovering as quickly as she did from this shock is not unreasonable because this is what it looks like. Stun guns are only meant to shock and hurt, not immobilize. After targeting her, one of the raptors begins an epic chase.
Here's Johnny!
Claire begins to narrowly escape the raptor's attacks due to the unfamiliar environment that these raptors are fighting in. Don't forget, for millions of years they've ran in nothing but woods and deserts. Now on top of rooftops and smooth tile, they have a hard time getting their grip. At least that's my theory. What do you guys think? Comment below. Now Owen has his own problems. He has also become Demar, but he's got a motorcycle. So the question is, how fast can these raptors run?
50, 60 miles per hour if they ever got out in the open.
With your average dirt bike going about the same miles per hour, this gives Owen the upper hand as he's an accomplished bike rider. And they're not out in the open. I couldn't find the exact make and model of these Kai trucks, but it does look like they go about this fast, giving them plenty miles an hour above what a Raptor can do, especially not in the open. Given the fact that she's a master driver and a pilot, shows that the writers did their research. And I love the simplicity of getting rid of this Raptor. Now here's another objection. Now that the Raptors are in the open, can't they go as fast as the bike?
50, 60 miles per hour.
Well, don't forget, there's a ton of dust in the way, not to mention that these Raptors got the shit beat out of them back in the city. So you barely have to suspend your belief to think he could get away. Mom and Daddy make it to the Bison headquarters but are attacked by a giant frickin' bird, sending Claire into one of the most epic shots in cinema history. On the ground, we find out that my black son is responsible for getting Ian Malcolm and the trio there together to try to get a sample to bring it out to the world to show that Bison is responsible for the bugdemic. Claire lands safely in the trees but then is sniffed out by this Freddy Krueger dinosaur. A lot of people ask, why didn't this dinosaur eat her? Well, this dinosaur is an herbivore. It hunts food for the apex predator, the Gigantosaurus. And since Claire is an unfamiliar scent and smell, it's not sure that it wants to bring that to the Gigantosaurus. Owen and Pilot Lady crash land safely. Now I know this is a bit of a stretch, but there have been more miraculous miracles where nobody was injured during a plane wreck. Plus, plot armor. And we finally get to see probably the most accurate description of a Velociraptor, except the height. And I don't know if they swam. As badass as Pilot Lady is, I'm sure she works out and would be strong enough to pull him from the ice. After they narrowly escape from the Velociraptor, they decide to take a moment to talk about their sexual preferences.
I like redheads too.
I don't believe you because you had a chance and you turned it down.
Sorry, I can't get involved.
If Bryce Dallas Howard asked me for help, you better believe I would help the shit out of her. With the homing signal still on, Owen and Pilot Lady move to the location where Claire had landed. This is where they find the Wolverinosaurus's offering to the big dog dinosaur. But Pilot Lady thinks it's funny. And the T-Rex is like, this looks like a good snack. But the Gigantosaurus is like, don't touch my food! And the T-Rex is like,
Fine.
During the escape of the three-way, their pod got shut down, but they escaped through a cave and, of course, made a torch. Grant climbs the top of the ladder to see if the coast is clear, and it's not. All three of them are trying to desperately get out as the dinosaurs get closer, but Ian Malcolm knows exactly where they're at because he saw it on the monitor. So he makes his way over and tries to guess the keypad, but of course doesn't know it. But our good old friend Ramsey sure does. Catching back up with Claire, she seems to be okay and making her way to the nearest thing that looks like civilization, like a safety pod in the middle of the woods. Then she hears a scary noise. Right before this incredibly inaccurate dinosaur goes to spit venom all over Claire, boom, gets choked out. Now there's a lot of objections to this.
And Owen's gonna choke a dinosaur. I mean, I don't believe that could happen without his arms snapping off. Well, it's gonna.
It's believed that the little bumps on their head is where they would store the venom as reptiles do, such as snakes and lizards. They use air from their lungs to project the venom, so if that's cut off, the venom just oozes out. So could Chris Pratt really choke a neck of an animal this big? Anyone with decent sized hands can choke a human and restrict their airflow, and the neck of this animal is much smaller than a human's. After deleting all the files and taking a couple for himself, he decides to burn all the evidence. That means it would be torching these locusts. And because they're on fire, they make an attempt to escape. And because it's an entire swarm, it has the force to break out. Now there's a lot of objections of locusts flying while on fire, though I know it's not a scientific explanation, but I always seem to remember that kid at summer camp that would light grasshoppers on fire, and those little guys would fly about 15 feet before crashing. Even birds lit on fire can fly for a while. Now because of the burning locusts, this causes Ian Malcolm to go off the road. They roll down the hill right to the spot that they need to. But remember, they were going to a safety pod anyway. Now all of them are united and we hear a beautiful homage to John Williams' original soundtrack as the original cast walks around the corner, and then it is met with the new Jurassic World soundtrack, a beautiful marrying of these themes.
You okay?
Hope nobody's afraid of heights.
Now let the callback fest begin. I'm going to put a counter at the bottom of the screen for all the callbacks that we see in the last act of this movie.
Don't move. Biggest carnivore the world has ever seen.
Now this big dude isn't going to just go and chomp these guys because he's never eaten a human, probably let alone even seen them. Not to mention he gets all his food from the Freddy Krueger dinosaur, so he's probably not that hungry. He's just browsing the merchandise. Now we're not sure how strong their jaws are, but since Bison made the dinosaurs and the cage, you think they would make it strong enough to withstand their jaw power. Call back.
Run.
The dinosaur breaks in and they all take turns fighting it in their own way, shooting it with a tranquilizer dart, stabbing it with a knife, and shocking it in the eyeball. Now the dinosaur doesn't fight back, because damn, if my food fought that hard, I'd leave it alone.
I'm Owen Grady. Big fan. I read your book. Well,
Through to the control room, which is on the 3rd floor.
There's a helicopter out in the main complex. We turn the ADS back on, we go home.
Now that we know what our main characters are going to do, we start the third act. Our main characters are making their way back to Dodson, where he's packing the last bit of evidence and, surprise, the canister that he had given Ned in the beginning. How would they find that, you might ask? Do you really think they would have a device that has millions of dollars worth of assets in it and not have a tracking device on it? Come on. Even with everything going down, Ramsey does try to seduce Dodson.
I gave you every opportunity I did not have. We have an understanding, Ramsey, and you do not break that.
Our main characters get to the control room and find out that they need to shut down the aerial deterrent system. In order to do that, they need to reboot the power system. Ever heard of that?
Shut down the primary system.
Dodgson makes his way to an escape tunnel and goes. The power gets cut off when they reboot the system, and he dies by these scary motherfuckers. God, these things have it out for all people working for Biosyn. The team split up. 3 to go find the little baby blue raptor, taking forever to make a decision to shoot it, and the other ladies go to shut the power off, or something.
Damn, that felt good.
Anyway, now with the aerial deterrent system back online, they can finally get out of here. But hey, look who's there, the guy that created all this mess. But guess what?
I can fix it.
He feels bad about it now, so he's pretty much a good guy. Oh yeah, no, okay, I see that. I like this guy now. He's a good guy now.
This is absolutely believable for me. I mean, let's follow the character arc. First, you get a young, aspiring scientist getting to work at Jurassic Park and getting to create things and do what he loves. Absolutely. When that all goes down the toilet, he gets another chance 20 years later for Jurassic World. When that goes down, of course he's gonna save his life's work. Not because he's evil, because it's his life's work. But when Biosyn hires him, they use his knowledge and his work to create an ecological disaster. So of course he wants to fix it. It's called a character arc, people. Read between the lines. What, you want every scene to be like a Christopher Nolan scene where they talk for 45 minutes explaining everything to you? Everybody runs out to the courtyard where Helicopter Lady found a helicopter, until they're interrupted by, you guessed it, the Gigantosaurus and the T-Rex. So T-Rex and the Gigantosaurus get in a big fight, and the Freddy Krueger dinosaur comes to help. What I find out interesting about this concept is, throughout all the movies there's this running theme that the T-Rex is the top of the food chain, the king of the jungle, so to speak. Whether it's a man-made Indominus Rex, a bunch of raptors, or the Gigantosaurus, which is not part of his time, the T-Rex always rises to the top, as if Mother Nature is balancing itself. So our team makes it to safety. Owen and Claire found their daughter, and Grant finally gets the gumption to express his feelings for Allie.
Allie? I am coming with you.
Which is a beautiful character arc that's been developing since the very first one. He's been alone because the only person for him was Allie. There were a lot of complaints saying that there wasn't any character development, but you just have to read between the lines, people. And Dr. Wu completes his plan of eliminating the bugdemic, and a lot of people ask, what, he just gets to go free? Are you kidding me? Absolutely he would get to go free, because let's think about it. Biosyn is not just the location with all the dinosaurs, it's an entire corporation, probably with franchises, probably with other locations for biogenetic engineering. With the insider information that Dr. Wu had, he could trade not only his freedom, but also probably a private island and a yacht. And because Owen is a man of his word, he does return Beta to Blue. After the reunited, Blue does look back as if to say thank you. Now, a little cheesy? Not at all. In videos you can find all over the internet, after a hunter may free an animal from a trap, they do sometimes take a step back to look at them and say thank you, I guess. The movie ends with showing us that dinosaurs and humans are going to have to coexist, which I think ties up the theme of Jurassic Park and Jurassic World just beautifully. I mean, cause look at these shots, my goodness, just beautiful. Well, that's it. That's my review of Jurassic World Dominion. Let me know in the comments below if I missed any details that I should have read between the lines, and let me know what video you want me to do a review of and read between the lines as well. Again, for more content just like this, like and follow, and in the meantime, always be creating.